I'm Alex, 31 years old, and I've always felt like the odd one out in my dad's second family. They never actually said it, but that's the vibe I got. See, I'm his kid from his first marriage. My mom died when I was 10, and just 2 years later, he married Denise and they started their own family. On the surface, we probably looked like any other blended family. But deep down, it felt like living in a house full of locked doors I wasn't allowed to open. My stepmom always put on a nice face, but it never quite reached her eyes. My half-brother, Ryan, 2 years younger than me, let me know right off the bat that he didn't see me as a real part of the family. My half-sister, Ellie, mostly went along with whatever he said, although sometimes it seemed like she actually wanted to get close to me. Then Denise would give her a look, and Ellie would shut down instantly. My teenage years were spent trying to figure out how to just blend into the background. My dad, well, he wasn't mean, but he didn't exactly stick up for me either. If Denise wanted me left out, he'd just go with it. If Ryan gave me a hard time, my dad would sigh and tell me to just let it go. I learned pretty quickly that if I wanted to belong, I had to prove myself. So I did. I busted my butt in school, paid my way through college with scholarships and working my tail off, and landed a good tech job after graduation. When the pandemic hit, I helped everyone in the family set up their home internet, taught them how to use Zoom, and even rewrote Ryan's resume so he could work from home. I never got a thanks, you know. I wasn't holding my breath for one. But deep down, I guess I kept wishing for it. Maybe I thought if I pitched in more, showed up more, like did more stuff, they'd finally notice me. Maybe they'd stop acting like I was some invisible person just standing in the background. So when Easter came around this year and Denise texted me in the family group, asking if I could lend a hand with the whole shebang, I just blurted out, yes. I didn't even think about it. She said it all offhand, as if she wasn't basically handing me half the holiday. Could you tidy the house before everyone gets here? Could you check in with the caterer? Oh, and the kids just loved that egg hunt you put together last year. It wasn't like she was asking, you know. It was just my regular, unspoken role. But still, I said yes. I booked the caterer myself and paid the deposit up front, almost $700. Denise said she would Venmo me, but yeah, she didn't. I got there early and cleaned, like, the entire guest bathroom. I set up the folding chairs, even ironed the tablecloth since she'd mentioned they looked a little wrinkled in the pictures from last year. I did all of that while they were busy getting manicures or picking out matching pastels at the mall. By the time everyone started showing up, I was wiped, but I still plastered on a smile. I put on a nice button-down shirt and those shoes that kinda pinch my feet, 'cause I know they look good in pictures. I helped the kids with the egg hunt, handing out baskets and making sure no one threw a fit over missing a piece of candy. So there I was on the patio, sipping a mimosa. My dad was grilling, and Ryan was yakking away about cryptocurrency, his fancy new car, and how having a regular job is for suckers. I just plastered on a smile. Dinner was a buffet, you know, that self-serve kind of thing. I was running around, making sure everyone got their food, keeping the drink glasses full, even helping Ellie with a tray because she said her arms were killing her. But when I finally sat down, hardly touching my food, Ryan, this guy, looked up from his ham, gave me this condescending smirk and said, real smooth like, "Funny how you think any of this makes you one of us." He thought it was hilarious, but nobody else cracked a smile. My dad just kept cutting ham like he didn't even hear it. Denise didn't even bother to look up. Ellie gave me a quick, sorry look and then looked away. And that's when it hit me. It wasn't a big dramatic thing, no yelling or crying. It was more like a quiet final crack, like a tiny thread snapping. I just sat there staring at my plate at those roast potatoes I'd arranged so perfectly that morning. And then I just started laughing quietly. Not because anything was funny, but because it was just so incredibly stupid. The whole thing. The fact that I'd spent 10 years trying to fit in, to belong at a table that was never meant for me. So I got up. Nobody even noticed right away. I walked down the hall to the coat closet and grabbed my laptop bag. I'd brought it in case I needed to work, but it had a whole new purpose now. I headed out to the driveway and popped the trunk of my car. Inside, I had a folder clearly marked, filled with receipts, copies of signed agreements, and bank statements. I took it out. Back inside I went. I walked right past the dining room table, past Denise and her flawless centerpiece, past Ryan and his annoying, vacant smile. I didn't say a word. I went directly to the fuse box near the laundry room and flipped the switches labeled Main Kitchen, Outdoor Lighting, and Media Center. Then I walked out the front door and I started to take back anything that had my name on it. I didn't rush. I wanted to soak it all in, each step, every second of reclaiming what was mine. It wasn't about getting even, not yet. It was about seeing things clearly. That feeling that washes over you when you quit begging to be picked and actually pick yourself. I opened the trunk, grabbed the list I'd printed weeks before, never really expecting to use it. Not unless they pushed me. Well, Ryan did the honors with one stupid sentence. First on my list, the outdoor heater. I got it last Christmas because Dad said Denise always got chilly at patio dinners. I loosened the gas line with the tiny wrench I kept in the car, carefully rolled it over to my car, and tossed it in. The sound of the side gate opening made me look up. It was Ellie. "Alex," she asked, quiet and careful. "What are you doing?" I kept going, taking back what's mine. She took a step closer, unsure. "Wait, are you okay?" Look, that was just Ryan being Ryan. I stopped and met her gaze. "You thought it was funny last time, right? He told me I should be thanking Dad for not sending me off to Mom's relatives. You just kept quiet then, too." She started to open her mouth, but nothing came out. I wasn't really mad at her, not deep down. I think she used to want to be good once. But being good in that house meant being weird, and being weird wasn't safe. Not if you were one of Denise's kids. She just turned around and walked away without saying anything. I went back to my list. Next up were the surround sound speakers. I'd put them in myself last summer. It took me 2 whole days of running wires through the walls while Ryan just sat inside bitching that I was making too much noise. He still went around bragging to his buddies about how his setup was better than any movie theater. I disconnected every single cable, rolled them up neatly, and packed the speakers into the original boxes that I stashed in my garage. If I paid for it and put it in, it was mine. The security system? That was simple. I paid for the subscription, had the admin access, and put in all the cameras. One tap on my phone and the network disconnected. Every camera flashed twice, then went dark. I deleted all the saved footage while I was at it, just to be sure. That's when Dad finally realized something was wrong. I heard the front door open. He walked out slowly, holding a half-eaten roll in his hand like he'd forgotten he was eating. "Alex, what's going on?" he asked. I didn't turn around right away. I was halfway through winding up that stupid garden hose I'd bought it because, get this, there's been a leak for 2 years that nobody ever fixed. Packing up the stuff I'd brought into this house, I told him without even glancing his way that I was done pretending I belonged here. He just stood there, quiet as a mouse. Then he let out that sigh, you know, the one he does whenever he wants to avoid a real conversation. He mumbled something about this being unnecessary, about not wanting to make a scene. I straightened up and looked him right in the eye. "A scene? You call what Ryan said a scene? What Denise does to me every single year, that's not a scene. You've just stood there every time she's cut me out of family photos, forgotten my birthday, even told the caterer I wasn't coming. And you said nothing, so no, Dad, this is me finally saying something." He didn't say anything back, just stared at me like I was crazy, like I was the one causing the problem. I smiled a little sadly. "Don't worry," I said. "I'm not gonna yell, I'm not gonna smash anything. I'm just taking my stuff, and then I'm out of here." And I meant it. The next hour was a blur of taking things apart. I took down the patio lights, my gift from 2 Easters ago, ripped the fancy smart TV off the wall. Denise wanted something sleek and even, whatever that means, and even yanked out the backup generator I'd bought last year during that crazy power outage. Everything I'd paid for, every little thing they'd gotten used to having without ever saying thank you. Ellie never even came back out. And Ryan? He didn't even pretend to help Denise. There she was at the kitchen window, arms folded, her expression a total blank. It wasn't like she was mad. It was more like I was messing up her day, like I was a total pain in the butt. When the car was jam-packed, I popped the trunk and shoved in the last box. Inside was the special Easter decoration I'd made, all wood with hand-painted ceramic eggs. Denise had once told a neighbor how cute it was, called it charming, but then told me flat out not to bring anything so country next time. But I brought it anyway. I made sure to take everything that I'd touched. As I shut the trunk and climbed in, the front door slowly opened again. This time it was Ryan. He didn't shout, he didn't give me a nasty grin. He just leaned on the porch railing, sipping a soda, and asked, "You honestly think anyone's gonna even care that you're gone?" I cracked the window just enough to see him and looked him right in the face. "Nope," I said, "but they'll miss what I brought." And then I backed out of the driveway, watching the house get smaller in the mirror. The house I used to think was my home, the house that had taken and given back next to nothing. But what happened after I left? That's the part nobody saw coming. That's where the real mess started. It took 3 days exactly for the first message to arrive. Not from Ryan, not from my dad, but from Denise. It was a quick text. So cold. "Hey, just realized the thermostat is down. Can you fix it? This house is freezing." I didn't answer, so I took a screenshot of that text, saved it, and just went about my day. Denise and the rest of them had no clue what was really going on. They didn't have a clue how much I was barely holding it together in that house. The smart thermostat, it was in my name. That app they used to change the temperature on my account. I set up the whole Wi-Fi system, connected all their gadgets, even kept their router software up to date. Every time Ryan went on and on about how awesome and easy their tech was, he was actually bragging about my work, my money. Then later that day, my phone buzzed again, Ellie this time. She texted something like, "Hey, something's wrong, none of the TVs are working. Did you mess with something?" I thought about texting back. Ellie was the only one who ever really treated me like a human being. But then I remembered all the times she'd look the other way when Denise was being a total jerk. How she'd giggle nervously, even when Ryan was saying cruel stuff. I didn't owe her anything. So I logged into Netflix, Hulu, Prime, all my streaming accounts, and signed every single device out. Then I changed all the passwords and added that two-factor authentication stuff. The next morning, their group chat blew up. Dad texted Alex something like, "Hey Alex, why are all the house lights flickering? What's going on?" Then Alex's brother chimed in about his Xbox not working. Denise finally wrote, "This is childish. You're making a point. We get it. Just stop." I didn't reply, not right away anyway. I couldn't bring myself to say anything. So I did something else entirely. I gave the contractor who'd put in my backup generator last year a call. It was a killer, almost $5,000. I slapped it on my credit card and paid it off slowly. They hadn't even offered to help out, not a cent. Even after that blackout last December, when the whole neighborhood was plunged into darkness and their house was bright as day, I still couldn't shake the feeling of never getting a simple thank you. I told the guy I was moving and needed the generator moved to the new place. No problem, he said. He could send someone out by Friday. They were still texting when the electrician showed up. Ryan tried to stop him right at the door. "You can't just take that. This is our house." But the papers, they were crystal clear. My name was on the receipt, my address on the contract. There he was, Ryan, standing in the driveway yelling at a guy with a clipboard while my generator was carefully unhooked and loaded onto a truck. Seeing him throw a fit, like a kid whose toy had been taken away, felt like a little bit of karmic justice. That night, I finally replied. Just one message sent to the group chat at 11:47 p.m. "Don't worry, I'm just doing what you all taught me, taking care of what's mine." I muted the chat after that, but the drama certainly wasn't over. A whole week went by. I buried myself in work. I bought some new furniture, spruced up the place, and finally got that espresso machine I'd been wanting. Things felt calmer, easier. Then out of the blue, my dad called. I just stared at my phone, completely unsure what to do. He never bothered to call me himself, always Denise or Ellie. So when the phone rang, I picked up more out of sheer curiosity than anything. There was a pause, then, "Alex," he said, "we need to talk." His voice was different, not mad, not like he was giving orders, just worn out. "What about?" I asked. He hesitated, then said slowly, I didn't realize everything you were doing for us." A beat. "I guess I let some things go I shouldn't have." I didn't say a word, just let the silence hang there. "I was wondering," he went on, "if you could maybe send over the new Wi-Fi password. Ryan's having trouble working from home." I actually laughed, just a quiet little chuckle, not a bitter one, more like I was finding the whole thing absurd. "I'm not your tech support, Dad," I told him. "I used to be your son, didn't seem to matter much then." He didn't know what to say. I could practically hear him catch his breath. "Is this really how you want to do this?" he finally managed. "No," I answered, "but it's how you did things for years." And I hung up. That same night, I started going through all my online accounts. Utilities, insurance, subscriptions, anything tied to their address, I took my card off of it. Water bill, gone. Electricity, auto-pay canceled. Left them with the basic plans. No more discounts, no special deals. Let them call and wait on hold for 3 hours like everybody else. Figured that would be the end of it. But 2 days later, a letter showed up. Not an email, an actual letter. Thick envelope, my name written in cursive on the front. There was a note inside, all folded up in my dad's writing. It started out, "Alex," and went on to say, "I know I haven't been the father you needed." I didn't finish reading it right then. I just sat there, holding the letter, going over all the years I'd been trying so hard to be a good son, a good family member, but they never really met me halfway. I was about to ball it up and throw it away when I noticed something else behind it. A check. For $700, exactly what I'd paid for Easter dinner. I couldn't believe it. That's when it hit me they were terrified. Not just worried about losing the caterer or anything like that. No, they were scared because for the first time I'd stopped trying to get their attention. I'd finally shown them what it's like to be ignored. I sat there with the check for ages. It wasn't about the money, it never was. That $700 wasn't even a drop in the bucket compared to what I'd shelled out over the years. Think holidays, new tech, furniture, bills, you name it. But seeing that check in my dad's neat handwriting made me stop and think. It was the first time anyone in that family had even tried to pay me back. Not with a hug, not with a sorry, just a transaction, a plain old number. It felt so cold, but at the same time, it showed me something. It showed me exactly what they thought I was worth. $700, not a penny more. I didn't cash it. So instead of doing anything else, I went to the kitchen, opened a drawer, and grabbed an old envelope. I slipped the check inside, along with the letter that I hadn't even opened. I shoved it behind my tax papers, not because I was all sentimental or anything, but because I wanted a tangible reminder. A way to see how far I'd come and how far I wasn't going back. The next week, Ellie called. I didn't pick up at first. Let it go to voicemail. She tried again the next day and then the day after that. Finally, on the fourth call, I answered. Her voice was quiet, like she was afraid to even talk to me. "Hey," she said. "Hey, I just wanted to say I'm sorry for everything." I didn't say a word, not yet. I wanted to hear what she actually meant by everything. "I didn't stand up for you," she admitted. "I let Ryan talk to you like that. I let Mom treat you like help." I always knew it was wrong, but I just told myself it wasn't my problem, that it was easier to just let it go. But I saw how they were after you left, Alex. It was like something broke open. Everything felt raw, quiet. Even Ryan shut up. I still didn't say anything. "I read your old message again," she said. "The one in the group chat, the one where you said you were just doing what they taught you, taking care of what's yours." I think that hit harder than you realized. "It wasn't meant to be some big poem," I finally said. "It was just the truth," she sighed. "Yeah, that's what really hurt." There was a long pause then, just us being real with each other. So then she dropped this bomb. "They're thinking of selling the house." I practically jumped. "What?" I said. "Yeah," she said. "Dad says it's too much work to keep up. The heating's shot, stuff outside is all broken, and well, Denise is totally mortified. She had some friends over last week, and the lights went out in the middle of lunch. And Ryan, he lost a job because the internet crapped out on him during a call. So I told her slowly, 'So now that things are inconvenient, you guys want to bail?' She didn't argue. It hit me then, they don't even get it. It wasn't the stuff I took that messed the house up, you know? It was the whole foundation." She whispered, "I know. That's why I haven't been calling them," she added. We were quiet for a minute, then she said something that really knocked me sideways. "I want to stay in touch," she said. "I don't care about Denise's family anymore. I miss my brother, my real brother." That just hit me like a ton of bricks. For years, I felt like I was yelling into a black hole, and suddenly here was someone answering back, soft as a whisper. "Show me," I said quietly. "Not just words, show me with actions." "I will," she promised, and you know what? She really did. Ellie started showing up once a week. Sometimes she'd bring over dinner. Other times we'd just sit and chat. We kept it casual at first: work, books, dumb stuff on TV. But gradually, we started talking about the real stuff. She told me about the pressure she felt growing up, trying to be this perfect daughter Denise wanted, how completely draining it was pretending everything was normal when it wasn't. The guilt she carried, just from laughing at Ryan's stupid jokes so he wouldn't turn on her, it broke my heart. I told her my own story, too, about how I spent my 20s feeling like I had to constantly prove myself worthy of love. Every gift, every favor, every bill I paid, I kept hoping it would be the magic bullet, the thing that finally made me feel like I belonged. And then finally, I just left. That's when it hit me. I didn't have to earn anything. I was already enough. As for the rest of them, well, they pretty much stayed the same. Denise kept up her Facebook charade, posting those filtered photos, pretending everything was peachy. She told her friends I was just going through a phase. Ryan, he took a few cheap shots at me online, muttering about ungrateful siblings and drama queens, but he was too chicken to actually tag me. Dad called a few times. I just let it go to voicemail. Sometimes he'd leave these long, rambling messages. Other times it was just a quiet, "Hope you're doing okay, son." I heard them, but I couldn't bring myself to call back. Voicemails and checks weren't going to erase years of feeling ignored. A couple of months after Easter, I got an email from the electrician, the one who'd taken out the generator. He said a realtor had contacted him about putting a new one in at the house. "They're getting it ready to sell," he wrote. "Figured you'd want to know." He was right, I did. So I drove past one afternoon, just sat there across the street. The house looked smaller than I remembered. The yard was overgrown, the patio furniture all stained and weathered. The wind had blown over one of my garden gnomes. Nobody even bothered to put it back up. A "for sale" sign stuck out in the yard with a smaller one under it. "Price reduced. Motivated seller." I just stared at it for a while, not because I was mad, but because it hit me. That house, it hadn't felt like home in ages, not for me anyway, and probably not for anyone else. It was just a set, and I'd finally walked off the stage. Time went by. Things got better with Ellie. We started doing stuff together, like hiking and sharing music. We even planned a trip. We made real memories, you know. No fancy stuff, no pretending. Just us two building something real. Finally, I pulled that check out of my dresser. I didn't cash it. I framed it and put it above my desk. Not to brag, but to remember that the best thing I got wasn't money. It was freedom. Freedom from needing their okay, from trying so hard to win their love, from pretending to be someone I wasn't to fit in. And there I was in my own place with my own life, surrounded by things I loved and people who loved me back. It dawned on me then that the family I always wanted wasn't the one I was born into. It was the one I built myself after I quit trying so hard to belong. And that was worth way more than $700.